We interrupt this episode of Michigan Life Above the 45th Parallel to bring you Clarissa's Kitchen. I'm Clarissa, and today we're doing fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn. On the screen, we're putting up the ingredients that you'll need. And here is a list so that you can write it down. First, cast iron is the best to make fried chicken. You can use chicken breasts or tenders, and utilize whichever potatoes you like best. We're going to start off by peeling all of our potatoes. Then we're going to quarter these and chop them into cubes. Leave it about a few inches above the potatoes. Start them up. We're going to add some salt. Now we're going to clean up our chicken breasts. There are tendons and little pieces in there that don't taste very good. Removing all the tendons and little pieces that ended up getting left from processing is always a good idea because the texture is not very palatable. Now we're going to split the chicken breast to make the consistency of thickness throughout. Make them into similar pieces. Some might be a little thicker. You're going to go ahead and cut those down the middle to make them uniform. We're also going to take some flour and put it into a Ziploc, about a quarter of the bag. That way you can cover all pieces of chicken, coat them evenly. Now we're going to place all of our pieces in there and continue to detendon and make our other chicken breast into the same sizes. Now there are veins and stuff in there too. You want to go ahead and remove those. And the tendons, if you slide the knife across, you can remove it a little bit easier and then pull them out. Now there's a bit of bone left from the rib portion of the chicken. We'll remove that as well. Now you can feel around on there, see if you feel anything else. And then utilizing your hand, you can feel where it's thicker and where it's not, and then take and remove those pieces. Then we're going to cut off the end piece because that is the right thickness. Then we're going to continue to cut these down to the right size. And while you're cutting, you may notice another piece of tendon or something in there. Remove those as you go. Then we're going to take the chicken breast thickest portion and we're going to cut that down the middle and then cut those in half as well. Sometimes you'll be able to cut it into 3, but for our purposes today, it's only going to be cut in half. Then you're going to seal this up and give it a good shake. Make sure to clean up your area and get rid of all the chicken. Now we're going to get our corn prepared. We're not going to turn it on yet, but we are going to set up our corn. Now if you're using canned corn, I personally like to drain the corn of the water that's in there and then add butter. I like a lot of butter in my corn. Gives it a really good flavor. And of course, I like to add salt as well. Just a good swirl. Now we're going to prepare our pan for the chicken. We're going to add our shortening, right around a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, mattering on how deep and big your pan is. Then we're going to let this melt down. Now your potatoes should be boiling at this point. You're going to turn that down so that it's not boiling over. You can keep the can that the corn came in to dispose of the grease. Now we're going to wait for the shortening to reduce down to where it's melted. Now we're going to gently place our chicken pieces into the hot oil. We're going to salt and pepper generously because the grease will remove some of this, so it won't be as salty or peppery as you think. We're going to cover it until the flour isn't as dry. This will be your sign to flip them. And now we are going to generously salt and pepper the other side. You do not recover this after that. Now we're going to let that cook. Now to check your potatoes, you can smush it against the side of the pan. If it does not immediately crumble, it's not ready yet. Now we will wait. While we are waiting, we are going to keep an eye on the chicken. And you'll have to turn your chicken over. As soon as you start seeing the edges become more crispy, we're going to go ahead and flip it all again. We do not want one side to get burnt. Now we're going to recheck our potatoes and see that it is now crumbling. It's good to go. Remove the chicken from the grease as soon as it's done. We're going to get our potatoes prepared. Draining the potatoes. You're going to leave a layer across the bottom of the pan of potatoes. And this is so that when you put the butter in, it's going to melt it a bit. I'm generous with my butter, utilizing around a stick of butter. We're going to add the other half of the potatoes back on top. Now you're going to be adding in evaporated milk. I like to use a smaller can because you can use a full can. If you have more potatoes, then get a bigger can. Now at this point, we're going to turn on our corn and mush the potatoes with the beater before you start to mix. That will help make it to where you don't splash. Now we've got our creamy potatoes. Corn is ready. Now we plate it up. There you got it. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn. Quick, easy, simple recipe that most people have all that in their cupboards already. Enjoy!